I think tax reform is so important that it needs to be done carefully. In other words, we should do it right, even if that means we can't do it right now. We have to make sure that any changes made in the budget this year or in a separate piece of tax legislation are consistent with the tax reforms that were enacted in 2013 that created a long-term structure for tax changes in the state. And it has to be consistent with whatever our long-term vision is for tax reform in North Carolina. There are some things the legislature can and should do this year. I think they should raise the standard deduction on the personal income tax or otherwise alleviate a little bit more of the burden of the state tax system on particularly families with large numbers of children. They also need to do something to address medical expenses. There was a deduction taken away for medical expenses. People who generally favor tax reform along the lines of broader bases and lower rates say, well, that's a special deduction, let's get rid of it. But actually, that particular deduction is necessary for tax neutrality, because if you have tax-free health benefits paying for medical services, but you tax people spending out of pocket to pay for medical services, then you're actually creating a tax bias. Unless we tax health benefits, which no one's really proposing right now, the only other option is to provide some tax relief for people who spend large amounts of money out of their own pocket when they have catastrophic health expenses. So that needs to be addressed. But further broadening of the sales tax base or other major structural changes in the system, I advocate we take more time, we study it more carefully, and we come to some real consensus about what we think North Carolina's tax system should look like in 5 or 10 years.